Hello and welcome back to my channel, welcome to a brand new video. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Amelia. I upload book content such as booktube, what am I speaking of? Book content such as reading vlogs and any other booktube content you could think of, with a few other random vlogs maybe sprinkled in around. I'm just going to preface this now, from the few videos you probably would have seen of me wearing the same outfit. I am bulk filming in one day and I'm not going to change my outfit throughout. I am just going to wear the same thing, so you're going to have to deal with the fact that I'm filming the same ones. I'm not really that bothered about that because it's fine, right? But yes, if you do like book content book content, then please subscribe to my channel, as I have been uploading a lot of that recently. My channel is now predominantly book content. If you enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, please comment down below, and also please follow my social medias that are linked in the description, because I do a lot on my Instagrams and I try and do a lot on my TikTok as well. And they are all linked down below, if not in the description, they're on my link tree. And without further ado, I'm just going to get on with this video because I'm kind of excited. It's a very simple one, it's an easy one, so I'm excited. Okay, for this video, I am super excited. I don't know why I'm super excited. I just feel like I love talking about couples and relationships in books. So if you haven't guessed by the title, I'm doing my top 10 relationship couples. And I used to do top 10 series, like back when I first started my YouTube channel, I would do top 10 series or something, top 10 of something. So I'm kind of bringing that back, but not really. I just really wanted to talk about my favourite couples, but I've had to narrow it down to 10 because I will be here all day. I have got some honourable mentions, just so like I can discuss about those ones as well as my top 10 couples. So I've got them written down in my trusty friends notebook because this is literally my content book. I've had for like 3 years now, and I could go back and find old content. I haven't put them in any particular order who is my favourite. However, my number 1 is my favourite, so I'm going to leave my number 1 till last. I'm going to go from 10 upwards, but just bear in mind, from 2 to 10 they're in no particular order. The first one is the only one that is actually my top one, and I'm going to do 10 to 2, and then I'll do my honourable mentions, and then we will do my number 1. So let's just get on with it, because I'm really excited to talk about these couples. Bearing in mind, I just want to say these are my opinions, not, I mean, everyone has their own opinions, and everyone's opinion is valid, so they're my opinions, no hate. And if I would love, before I get into this, if you want to let me know your favourite book couples, I would love to hear it. Bearing in mind, they're probably ones I haven't read yet, and I'm probably waiting to find my other favourite couples, so I might do this in a year's time and see if it's changed. That's a good idea. Anyway, rounding on. My number 10 is Grayson and Lorelai from With This Kiss. I will say they were really, I loved the couple, and I loved Grayson. Like, he clearly liked her, and he was like all in for her from like probably the moment they met, and she was very on the edge, on the fence, because of, and not because she didn't like him, but because of what the superpower she had, which is not really, she saw it as a curse, where she could, so her curse, she could see, if she kisses someone, she can see how they're going to die. So she was so apprehensive about kissing him to the point where she couldn't be with him, but she realised she loved him, and it's such a cute couple. I won't give too much away, go get it. It's by Carrie Hope Fletcher. This one is James and Wendy from Hooked by Emily McIntyre. This book had me in a chokehold, and ignore the pun, but it had me hooked on the book from the moment I started reading it. I loved it, and it is a dark romance. It's a very dark romance, and it's, I would say in some ways, toxic, but I will say, like, I loved the couple. I loved the way it was, the way it turned to the end at the end of the book, so I definitely recommend reading it and finding in love, because that book, one, was a great book, but that couple, I couldn't stop thinking about that couple for like a week. My number 8 is Iris and Declan from Terms and Conditions. Like that Billionaire series is my favourite, and actually all of them are mentioned in this video, because I absolutely love that series and love those couples. They're just so cute. I love their relationship, and just the dynamic between the couples is everything I loved. I loved Iris's like feisty side. I loved Declan being that he was so, it's grumpy versus Sunshine in some ways. It's marriage convenience. They got married because of the inheritance, and then they didn't love each other for a long time. And when they did end up falling in love, I loved it. My next one is Gus and January from Beach Read. This was the second Emily Henry book I read after Book Lovers, and controversial, I know, but I absolutely did not like. I didn't say I hated Book Lovers. I just didn't like Book Lovers. I would love to give it a reread now, and maybe see if my mind's changed. But I just remember not. Like, I nearly went into a reading sample in that book. I remember reading it because everyone was hyping it up, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read it, and I was so disheartened. So I was so worried about reading Beach Read, thinking, oh no, I'm not going to like this one. I don't know if I like Emily Henry's writing. But I read Beach Read and fell in love with that book so much. And January and Gus were adorable. I loved them together. I loved how they switched their writing styles up, and she went to do he would write, and he would try and write a romance book. Well, I can't remember what Gus used to write. Was it like a thriller, kind of like dark kind of books? Kind of like that, I think. I can't really remember what the time. It's really bad. But I loved that story and their couple and how they found their way to each other. It was just amazing. And the next one is Josh and Lucy from The Hating Game. I love how I had to put for that one in brackets where that was from. I actually still think about The Hating Game. I didn't read it early on last year, but I remember when I read it and I loved it. And I definitely rated it a lot higher than I think I would if I reread it now. I'm an Enemies to Lovers fan. Like, I love reading Enemies to Lovers, so reading the banter between them, I loved it, and it's just the way they got together. I just think it was really cute. My next one is Macy and Elliot from Love and Other Words. Again, this book was very much, I rated this book lower than I actually re-rated it to 5 stars, because it's what time is it? It's May 20, when I'm filming this, it's May 2023, it'll be June by the time you're watching this. I read this book in around September time last year, and I still can't stop thinking about it. And I was like, I was like half earlier on this year, and I started reading every summer after, and I was like, you know what? I really rated this lower than I should have done because I loved it. So I rated it I moved it to 5 stars because it's actually a really good book, and I loved the story. And it was the first Friends to Lovers romance book I read, and I was so worried about not liking it because it's Friends to Lovers. However, I absolutely loved the story of them. I found it really cute. I loved their relationship. I loved their childhood relationship and their relationship as they grew up and everything. So they are literally on my top 10 for sure. My next one is Connell and Marianne from Normal People. This book and the series has me in a chokehold, like to the point where I think I'm gonna finish. I started rewatching it like earlier this year and stopped, but I'm gonna actually continue rewatching it later on. I think because I absolutely love that book and I love that series. It's so good. So they're like literally like from school to uni, and I loved it. I loved the change between them, from Connell being the popular guy and her being like the outcast at school, and then they get together in secret, and then at uni it's the complete opposite way around. He's the outcast and she's the popular girl, and I love it. And it's just so good, and they're dynamic. I'm really bad at describing things. If you couldn't tell, I'm like, it's so good, it's so good. I need to think of other words. Like, maybe I should take an English literature course or English language course. The next one is Cal and Alana from The Final Offer. So, I told you there's another one of the Dreamland Billionaires couples appearing. Cal and Alana had a relationship I loved. I think I loved how strong Alana was. She was, even though what happened before had hurt her, she was strong enough to go, no, I'm like, I can't do this if you're going to still be the trouble guy who's turning to alcohol anytime something goes wrong. So yeah, Cal and Alana I just loved. It was like reading Cal's battle throughout, and his trying because he loves her and he did love her. I absolutely loved it. So they are literally one of my favourite couples. Just the way they got, how it wasn't, oh, we're gonna get together, here we are. Like, it was, she's not gonna let him just do that because she has a child to think about. And I loved it. And I loved the way he was with this is how tired I am of names. It's not coming to my head. But the daughter, technically her daughter in the book. I'm going to actually have to Google this. God, I literally just took Googling since it's level to be able to find it because it's not on Google anywhere until I found it. Cammy. I love the way Cal was with Cammy. I literally read it like, a week and a bit ago and I can't remember what is in my brain. The way he was with Cammy was adorable, and I just love that couple all together. And a little family. And then the next couple is Rhysand and Feyre from A Court of Mist and Fury. I would say A Court of Thorns and Roses as well, because he does come in there and he does, like, it starts the deal between Feyre and Rhysand. I keep saying Rhysand, it's not Rhysand, it's Rhysand. But honestly, that couple, chef's kiss. I loved it so much in that book. Like, reading it in A Court of Mist and Fury and the way the relationship started, I was like, this is amazing. And I love, like, the book doesn't lose, it's not, even though there is romance in this book, there is a lot more, like, fantasy and action to it. So it is quite slow till you get to the romance bit, but you can see the hints of it before, and it's great, and I love it so much. Honestly amazing, and I recommend that whole series, or at least those first two books, because I really read the first two books to get to understand, because Feyre was with Tamlin for a bit, and I actually loved their relationship in A Court of Thorns and Roses. Did not like him in A Court of Mist and Fury. My next one, well no, actually before we get to my top one, because I said I'm going to give my honourable mentions. I'm not going to talk too much about them, because I feel like I talk too much about the other ones for no reason. I just say it's so good, it's so good, that's all I've said. Honourable mentions go to Scotty and Kenna for reminders of him. I'm not gonna lie, I did absolutely love them, but I wouldn't say they were my favourite. Like, they were cute together, and I think the story of how they got together and what the reasoning behind it all, I loved. However, I wouldn't say I love them for like my favourite. Like, it was hard not to put them in my top 10, but I was like, out of the ones I put in my top 10, they probably fall off that. Next is Magnolia and BJ from Magnolia Parks. Again, I really enjoyed their couple. I enjoyed the toxicness of them in Magnolia Parks. They're just not my favourite. Like, I wouldn't put them down. I gave 5-star read, but I wouldn't say my favourite couple. Next one is Zara and Rowan from The Fine Print. You knew they were coming in somewhere. They're unfortunately not on my top 10 because I wouldn't say they're my favourite. I think partly because I went last year, but they're just the one I least remember until they're brought up in the book, and I'm like, oh yeah, they exist. I remember the whole story, I just kind of forget that they exist until then. And I love them, but just not enough to put them in my top 10. And then my final honourable mention, I had to keep this short, I could have put a lot in there otherwise, is Laura and Ted from Just Haven't Met You Yet. I actually really enjoyed their story because of what the story was about, how she was off to find her. She was exploring about her mum and her parents' love, and then she believes in soulmates, and she picks up the wrong suitcase and gets someone else and she thinks it's her soulmate. And when she meets him, they actually go on a date and stuff like that, and they're not serious, but they start dating. But she realises she likes Ted more, and oh my god, it's so cute. I love them. I wouldn't say it's my favourite book I've ever read. I gave it like a 3-star. Like, the first half was boring, the second half was good. That was why I described it. But are you ready for my number one? I mean, I don't think anyone could be unsure that these people were going to become my number one. But it is Bree and Archer from Archer's Voice, of course. This book still has me in a chokehold. I read it like last August, and I love it so much. Like, it melts my heart. I'm literally nearly crying thinking about it. I love that book so much, and I really want to reread it, like properly reread it, but again, I don't know if I can put myself through that just yet, because it is quite emotional and it's a lot. So yeah, they get my top spot in my top 10, and that brings me to the end of this video. I do hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please comment down below, please subscribe, and I will see you again very soon with another video.